With Hurricane Matthew's days away, 2 states have already declared states of emergency.
And a man is in critical condition after being stabbed this morning near the War Memorial.
And finally, last night's vice presidential debate put 2 running mates on the center stage.
Hello and welcome to NCC News Live at 4. I'm Blake Levine.
And I'm Joe Leonard. Our top story tonight is the imminent impact of Hurricane Matthew. NCC News weather reporter Bamidele Idowu joins us here in the studio to talk about Hurricane Matthew. Bamidele, what can you tell us?
You see, the latest of Hurricane Matthew was in, and it's still a very major storm. So let's get straight into it. There was a landfall tip of the western tip of Haiti with winds coming at
hurricane, and it is heading
miles
for
an hour, and we are still expecting a landfall in Cuba and southern Bahamas possibly later today. Now, as for the United States, I did some tracking, and we could be talking about a major hurricane right off the coast of Florida by the time we get to the end of the week, and possibly somewhere in the Carolinas by earlier this weekend as northwest winds continue to pick up. Right now, we're at a Category 3, but for the forecast, it says that we could look at a Category 4. So everyone in Southeast needs to pay close attention over the next few days. Now, as for Syracuse, although the storm is creeping up the East Coast, New York's impact wouldn't come until Saturday at the earliest. You may be getting some winds or heavy windfalls, or maybe even both. But there's no immediate concern yet, and we'll definitely keep you updated throughout the entire day. The only thing that you should be worrying about is that you could be seeing snow again. I'll tell you more about that at 4:45.
Bamidele, come on, man. All right, moving on. The Department of Public Safety is advising people in the Syracuse area to not dress as clowns for Halloween this year due to the creepy clown epidemic that is being seen across the nation and recently in Syracuse. This came as part of the statement released yesterday by DPS. Senior Vice President of Safety Tony Callisto explains why DPS thinks these clowns are no laughing matter, and neither should anyone considering this costume for Halloween.
Not pranks. This is not funny. It's not silly. The phenomenon is kind of caught on nationwide, and people are making a joke of it, and some people are really scared of it, and therefore it is a serious matter.
NCC News reporter Kyra Azada was on the SU Plaza today for a Black Lives Matter protest. Kyra, what did you see today?
Earlier today, Syracuse students affiliated with the Black Lives Matter movement staged what they are calling a die-in on the promenade. The event represents the death of African American citizens killed by police brutality. The students who gathered on the promenade silently laid on the ground pretending to be the victims of police brutality. Demonstrator Brianna Dutton says they chose to do a die-in to call attention to what is going on around the country.
Here at Syracuse University, there hasn't been much acknowledgement about the lives that have been lost to police brutality and have been affecting our community as Black students on this campus.
According to Dutton, there was no one group on campus that planned the demonstration, but instead individual students came together. As they were getting up, something unexpected happened. Demonstrator Gerald Brown says the song symbolizes what they are here to say.
That many of us were saying was called Wade in the Water, and it's a Negro spiritual. There was guidelines, it was a way to stay safe, it was a way not to die. So I think through that language, that imagery, as we are rising up, and just symbolically tie it all together.
The demonstration drew a huge crowd of students that were taking pictures and videoing the event, and some even joined in. Freshman Brittany Adebamula was on her way to class when she saw the demonstration.
Other students use their voices has sort of inspired me to want to be a part of the movement, has made me realize that I do have the power to do that here on campus, which I think is a beautiful thing.
According to the demonstrators, this is just the start of making a change, and they feel that their message was successfully conveyed today. Reporting from Syracuse, I'm Kyra Azado.
A panel discussion hosted by the National Pan-Hellenic Council is taking place at Syracuse University tonight at 7 p.m. The event is called Injustice for All 2, and it focuses on racial injustice in the United States. The discussion will feature 3 panelists, author and historian Mary Frances Berry, NAACP Chairman Rosalind McAllister Brock, and Reverend Osugafu Saku.
Police are investigating a stabbing from this morning near the War Memorial in downtown Syracuse. Chief of Security for the court, Sean Egan, said a group leaving the Syracuse City Court on South State Street got into a fight. Security officers broke it up, but the fight continued down the street where the 26-year-old victim was stabbed in the chest. The victim was taken to Upstate University Hospital, where he is in critical but stable condition, according to the police. The suspect fled the scene and was last seen headed west on Harrison Street. No word yet on how many people were involved or what the argument was about. The Ithaca stabber has been identified but not found. Khalid Gale is being accused of stabbing an unidentified victim a week ago near Cornell University. A second suspect believed to have flashed a handgun has not been identified yet. Nobody involved in the incident is connected with the university. Anyone with any information is asked to call the Ithaca Police Department. Police are searching for the suspect being accused of stabbing a woman repeatedly in downtown Syracuse yesterday evening. Police say the suspect, Tyrese Waring, got into a domestic dispute with the 28-year-old female victim on the 1100 block of West Colvin Street when he stabbed her twice in the shoulder. The victim was then taken to Upstate University Hospital, where she was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Waring is still at large and wanted on charges of assault and criminal possession of a weapon.
The Chinese government is showing concerns for its students studying in the U.S. following the death of the Syracuse University student last week. A statement released by the Chinese consulate in New York said that the Chinese government has been in contact with the university officials and called on the local police to solve the murder quickly. The student was found dead Friday afternoon behind an apartment complex in DeWitt. No suspects have been named yet. A man from Oswego is being charged with sexually abusing a child under 11 years old. The Oswego County Sheriff's Office arrested and charged Michael Pakhak with the sexual assault felony yesterday following an investigation from July. Pakhak's next court appearance will be on November 3rd. A state worker has been suspended from his job after city officials accused him of making threats to help Core Development Company Department of State Senior Building Engineer Thomas DiTolio left Mayor Minor's chief of staff a voicemail stating that if Core wins its appeal, quote, it wouldn't look good in the newspapers. City Hall officials sent this information for our U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara. This comes a week after Bharara accused two Core executives of bribery and bid rigging from a statewide corruption probe.
The Oscar Mayer Wienermobile is in Syracuse. Oscar Mayer the hot dog-shaped car that travels across the country has made a stop here in central New York. The Wienermobile, which has been around since 1936, is being driven by Ketchup Karen and Cookout Christian. The iconic vehicle is a head-turner for other cars on the highway. And according to Cookout Christian, the two drivers are minor celebrities when driving it.
Actions we get on the road, which are probably my favorite part of the job. We'll merge onto the highway and catch someone in the corner of their eye, and they'll just have the craziest reaction. They'll be excited, surprised. We essentially see every reaction except for anger.
And coming up, Vice presidential candidates Mike Pence and Tim Kaine squared off in the only VP debate last night, and the participants are drawing criticism. Find out why, coming up next. The only vice presidential debate occurred last night. Here are a few highlights from each of the candidates.
Said to Governor Pence, I can't imagine how you can defend your running mate's position on one issue after the next. And in all 6 cases, he's refused to defend his running mate's.
No, don't put words in my mouth.
All right.
But Senator, please, enough of this seeking every opportunity to demean law enforcement broadly by making the accusation of implicit bias every time tragedy occurs.
Elaine,
Democrat Tim Kaine faced off with Republican Mike Pence last night in the vice presidential debate. The debate took place at Longwood University in Virginia and was moderated by CBS News' Elaine Quijano. All 3 of Kaine, Pence, and Quijano drew heavy criticism for their performances. Kaine for his constant frustration and interruptions of Pence, and Pence for his inability to defend Donald Trump and for constantly avoiding the original questions. Quijano drew her own criticism mainly for her inability to control the debate. The candidates often spoke over each other, and Quijano was unable to keep the conversation on topic. The next presidential debate will take place on Sunday at 9 p.m. Athletes across the National Basketball Association silently demonstrated during the national anthem. Players from Boston, New York, Houston, and Washington locked arms as the music played before the start of the preseason games. The NBA and its players' union released a joint statement last week supporting player protests and encouraging a meaningful dialogue. The athletes are continuing a national trend started by Colin Kaepernick of the San Francisco 49ers in August to protest the shooting of black men by police.
The state of California is attempting to be the first state to offer health care to illegal immigrants. The Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, currently does not allow for illegal immigrants to buy health insurance on the main exchange. This past summer, the governor of California, Jerry Brown, signed a bill to apply for a federal waiver to allow illegal immigrants to get health care insurance in California. If this bill is accepted, this would allow almost 400,000 illegal immigrants in California to receive health care. The first 4 living uterus transplants in the United States have been performed at Baylor University Medical Center. 3 of the surgeries have failed due to blood clots, but the good news is those 3 have their organs transplants removed and are safely recovering. The 4th patient, however, has yet to have any blood clots or infections, and doctors are optimistic she could be the first patient to receive a successful uterus transplant in the United States. The funeral for the 6-year-old boy who was shot in the South Carolina school shooting last week is being held today, funeral is being held today. The boy's name was Jacob Hall, and his family did not want people to show up to the funeral in the usual dress code. Hall's family asked people to dress as superheroes since Jacob was very into superhero characters such as Batman, which he is dressed as in his casket. Hall's casket was decorated also in Mutant Ninja Turtles stickers and floral spray of images of those turtles and Captain America.
The UN has released satellite images revealing the horrors behind the current state of Aleppo in Syria. After a ceasefire between Russia and the U.S. fell through in recent weeks, reports have emerged of Russian and Syrian airstrikes having targeted the war-torn city. The first photo we're about to show you shows Aleppo just last month. The second shows the same part of town less than a month later, except this time the road is littered with craters. The UN has also officially upgraded the state of eastern Aleppo to besieged, leaving close to 275,000 people cut off from aid. Continuing with the United Nations, a new Secretary General has been announced. The Security Council unanimously agreed that Portugal's former Prime Minister Antonio Guterres would be recommended as the new leader. The Council made their announcement to the 193-member General Assembly, which now must either approve or deny the nomination. Guterres is poised to succeed Ban Ki-moon, whose second 5-year term comes to a close on December 31st. Throughout the nomination process, Guterres has come away as the most impressive candidate. Out of the 15 nominating votes, 13 encouraged Guterres, while 2 gave no opinion. 2 police officers in Brussels, Belgium, were stabbed this morning, according to Belgian prosecutors. The suspect fled the scene but was apprehended by a second group of police officers. The prosecutors said they have reason to believe the attack was, quote, terror-related and will continue to investigate. Brussels has been on high alert since March when explosions at the airport and a metro station killed 35 and injured more than 300.
Student protesters at Johannesburg University were met with police force after the students tried to protest what they feel is high university prices. Police used tear gas, stun grenades, and rubber bullets to try and stop students. The protests against university prices started last year with people protesting at the South African Parliament. to protest university prices as well as other issues. The protests had calmed down, but reemerged these past few weeks after the government reported that the fees would rise the next school year. Israel has carried out airstrikes on the Gaza Strip after a rocket was sent from the Palestinian territory earlier today. The firing of the rocket in these areas is rare since the 50-day war between Israel and Gaza concluded in the summer of 2014. No one was harmed in Israel, but the shooting of the rocket was claimed by an Islamic terrorist group on Twitter. But the responsibility of the attacks have yet to be identified or independently identified. Coming up next on NCC News, we'll tell you how you can get your food faster and possibly making a buck from it, all from this new app. Stay with us.
A new food pickup and delivery app has come to Syracuse, giving people quicker access to food services both on and off campus.
NCC News reporter Bamidele Idowu is back to tell us how the app's emergence can help create jobs for Central New Yorkers.
I think that it's really good pay. It's like $15 an hour-ish, and you get tips too, so.
Noble starts as a Syracuse resident and a civil arts student currently taking a year off at Temple University. This past month, she received a job as a delivery woman for the emerging app, Tap and Go.
I saw like an ad online. I was like, oh, might as well apply, and it was super easy to do.
Tap and Go is a mobile application that provides pickup and delivery services from Syracuse local businesses to cafes and dining areas on the Syracuse University campus. Although the app just came to Syracuse University this school year, the buzz has expanded beyond this community. You see, unlike before, CNY residents are now able to request from places like Chipotle, Starbucks, and Blue Monkey from their telephone devices. And that's why the need for more people like Noble has created an opportunity for more jobs in Central New York. Goldstein Dining on the SU campus is one of the many local dining areas that have partnered with Tap and Go. Supervisor Tim C. says that the more that the app is being used, the more delivery men and women are going to be needed.
And there's a couple instances that we've found that we're getting the food faster than the drivers are coming for the food, sits there. And even drinks, the drinks to get water in, making Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee, they don't get there fast enough, so. But we just let them know, and they hire more as they need them. And
C says that although the app is new, there's been a rise in business sales week by week.
And there's no delivery places around here that do that kind of thing. Dunkin' Donuts doesn't deliver, Burger King doesn't deliver. So it's big just for that. It's a new thing. And as it catches on, it's getting busier and busier.
Tap and Go's public relations manager said in the email that while there are more than 30 on-campus retail locations at SU, they plan to continue to expand across the community. And with that, hopefully CNY can capitalize. For NCC News, I'm Bamidele Ido.
Keep it right here on NCC News as we take a look at sexual assault on college campuses following a recent protest at SU. NCC News reporter Alex O'Toole is here with a report on Red Zone Awareness Week. Alex, tell us what it's all about.
If you've been around the Syracuse University campus this week, you've undoubtedly seen tabling in shine, demonstrations on the quad, and the posts that have been taking over social media. So what's all this commotion about? It's the Red Zone.
It's basically the middle of the period of time that's called Red Zone, and that basically means it's the first 6 weeks on campus where students are most likely to be sexually assaulted. Actually, 50% of sexual assaults occur during this time. So we kind of wanted to break up that period and start an awareness campaign in the middle of that time period. And so we're going to have a whole bunch of social media campaigns, we have some events and speakers, and we have a lot of just awareness type events that are going on during this week. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that people are new to campus, people are more vulnerable. I think that alcohol has a play in it, and I think honestly just the fact of being the first semester, a lot more people are more apt to go out and to be in situations that could potentially lead to sexual assault.
He needs to go down as fuck.
What we really want to do is, one, make the campus aware of this issue in general, and really just plant that seed moving forward about how can we prevent sexual assault, not only during this red zone period, but also moving forward in the rest of the year. It's kind of interesting because this is a nationally known thing. You have statistics from research and lots of important governmental agencies that talk about this, but not many campuses are talking about it and doing campaigns about it. Really, we're the first campus to do something so big because it's not really ever been done before.
Thank you. That was our reporter Alex O'Toole. Find out why your local coffee shop may have a different name this morning, next on NCC News.
Coming up at 4:45 on NCC News, clowns have invaded Syracuse University. What are cops doing about it? Also, a man is left in critical but stable condition after a stabbing on State Street outside the On Center. Last week, Syracuse suffered a bad loss to Notre Dame, but our sports reporter Alex O'Toole has a preview of Syracuse's upcoming matchup against Wake Forest. All these stories and more on NCC News at 4:45.
Fans of the show Gilmore Girls across the country got a little taste of their favorite fictional diner this morning as coffee shops across the nation were transformed to look like Luke's Diner from the popular show. Netflix brought a bit of stars to hollow all 50 states, including 2 coffee shops in Rochester and 2 more in Buffalo this morning. All this to promote Gilmore Girls, a year in the life which will premiere on the video streaming site November 25th. So, Blake, let me ask you, are you more of a Lorelai fan or a Rory fan?
If I knew what you were talking about, I could maybe comment. I've never seen the show.
Personally, I always liked Lorelai's motherly advice myself. Really hit home. Did you know that Melissa McCarthy actually got her start on that show?
I'm a big
Melissa. That's all we have for now, Blake. Stay tuned for News Live at 4:45 with Logan Raddick and Jake Falk. For NCC News, I'm Joe Leonard.
And I'm Blake Levine. Have a great evening, Syracuse.